Hey folks, in today's episode we're going to check out the new Sigma 70-200 Sport lens and pit it against the new 70-200 Nikkor E version. Hey folks, before we head out and test out the different 70-200s, do me a favor and check out Steph's links in the description below. She's on Instagram, Facebook, and she has her own YouTube channel. She makes such a great contribution to this channel, so please do throw her a like and a subscribe. Let's get to it. You look like a Bond girl.
I know.
So in this video, I want to compare the two of them because this is $1,500 compared to, I think this is actually like $27, but it's on big savings at the moment. So it's actually just over $2,000 at the moment. But this guy is more complex, has more glass in it. It's bigger, longer, wider, and 30% heavier than this one, but it's that bit cheaper. So let's see how it compares. And I am going to throw into the mix the 200 f2 just for some shots in studio to see what reproduction ratio we're getting if we really get the full 200 mil. So, as I said, this guy is very interesting on paper. Years ago, I did a full 70-200 comparison before I came to the States, where we compared Tamron, Nikon, Sigma, and I think even Canon in it at that point. And since then, Tamron have updated their lenses. I've already done videos on the G2. I'll pop a card above to that. Nikon have updated their one, and the Sigma was the one most overdue for updating. This one has got all of their latest tech. It's in the sports lineup, and the price seems good, but like true to form, it's just really noticeably heavier than this guy. In any case, we're going to do some shoots in studio here just to compare the image quality of the two of them, do some close focus tests, we'll do a little bit of focus test and image quality outside as well, and see if it's worth the $1,500 asking price. So let's get ready.
Cool.
Ah!
Pew, pew.
Ah! As usual, Steph brought just about her entire wardrobe, so we went through, quickly picked out a couple of different outfits, set up a light, got the scene working. This is just a simple lens test. We want to compare it, see how the focus is doing. As usual, the cat started to steal the show, so as Tyson was being cued in her basket, then I changed the light onto her. So look, we went through and shot a bunch of different tests, just this simple single light setup, and then I added an extra light in the background just for some separation on this little Oben tabletop tripod, using it as a light stand. In studio, absolutely no problem with the focus. They were both doing great. Let's check out some dance moves, then some images. See, I'm not the only bad dancer. It's a little frustrating. Both of these lenses don't give you full metadata. They just say they're a 70-200 2.8, so we have to keep notes on which was which to make sure we don't confuse them in the edit. Now back to Tyson.
Don't hit the camera, don't hit the camera. Okay.
Hit it, hit it, hit it. I'm trying to fucking sleep, man. I was up chasing a shadow all night. Okay, so we've got all three on those. Now the big boy. You see that grin on my face? That's what this lens does. Well, and Steph. But the 200 f2 is basically just as a benchmark. Optically, it's fantastic and you get really close to full 200 mil reproduction. So, I want to get a closest focus reproduction test. The reason to do this, some lenses, the old Nikon was famous for it. When you're at 200mm but focusing quite close, it wasn't giving you anywhere near the real 200mm reach. It was like a 140mm. The new one has kind of fixed it. The 200 f2 is pretty much flawless. So we'll test this guy at about 1.9 meters because that's what the 200 f2 can do. Actually, what's the best way? We'll do two tests. First one, this at its closest focus, which is 1.2 meters, and I'll compare it just to the Nikon 70-200 at 1.2 meters. And then we'll do all three of them, including the f2 at 1.9 meters because it's its closest focus, and see how they go. So I'll need to put the camera on a tripod and you on a chair. Now, before the internet tells me I should be mounting the lens to the tripod, I want to keep the sensor plane the same. That's why the camera needs to not move. If I mount it here, then the camera will move a little bit. I'm supporting the lens. Don't freak out on me. So actually, the Sigma gets closer. Except that I can actually go even closer with the Nikon. It'll let me go to 1.1. So the Nikon will actually let me focus. So this was the 200 f2, how close we were. And then this is the Sigma, so it looked like it went just a little bit further from you. And then this is the Nikon, a little bit further again. So the Sigma's doing better than the Nikon 70-200, but not as tight as the 200 prime. Cool. It was a really bright and sunny day, so we chose an overcast position for Steph to sit in, and then I wanted to get some trees in the foreground and background to show the blur in both directions. So here's some of the resulting images. We'll give you some of these as a download. See the link in the description so you can pixel peep them yourself.
There was a bug that literally flew on my nose.
In my mouth.
Oh.
It was a coordinated attack.
Oh my god!
That's not fun. Up. Oh, you're good. Yeah, he's a good guy. Next, we went to this wall of a building that had some, again, foreground and background elements to show how the fall off occurs in each one. I got some shots that also include some shrubbery in the far distance, just so you can see how they're going at different apertures and how it looks compared to the Nikon. Okay, so I want to do a couple more little running tests here. It's more for me just to be able to give you an informed opinion rather than counting up the exact number of shots each lens gets in focus. But I'm going to frame up, so I've got the frame partly obscured by some leaves, have her do two different tests. One, kind of erratically running around and seeing how I can lose and regain focus on her. And another one, having her just run straight at camera with the focus tracking, because of course autofocus is an interface of lens and body, and this body does quite well. I do feel the Sigma is accurate, but that it doesn't move through the range as fast. So it'll be interesting to see on that direct run how it does keeping up with her. And let's start off with the Sigma. One annoying thing, both of these lenses in the metadata don't say which brand they are. They just say 70-200 2.8. So I have to keep track of that to make sure when I get into edit, I know which shot was which. Starting with the Sigma, with a tight headshot of Shravya hiding behind the camera. First one, I'm like a machine gunnerist and you're trying to dodge me, so just be erratic. No human shields. Okay, go for it. Go. Wow. Erratic pants? Yep, go. She's putting in extra work on this one. Okay, I'm pretty confident the Nikkor... You tried harder on that one, but I think the Nikkor did even better. So catch your breath, because I want you to be full speed again. I mean, she doesn't even really eat sugar, and she's always so crazy hypo. Go. Okay, I could see none of them jumped off her. We'll just have to see. For this kind of one, you actually do want to see the total number of shots that it kept on, because I could see it may not be perfectly on, because I could see it was bouncing face to chest, because that's similar tone. But if it jumped completely off to the background, we'll see that. Or if it's slipping further and further back through the temples and ears, that it's not keeping up with us. So we'll see how we do. How you feeling? Deep burn? Deep burn?
Yeah.
Should we get some sugar? Some
Yes.
coffee?
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. Actually, should we have ice cream?
Ooh, yeah.
Okay, let's get ice cream.
Ice cream.
Taking a look at them, there's one or two from the Nikkor that fell out of focus clearly. But I have to say, with the Sigma, probably a third of them, it slipped off her face back to the shoulders. It was definitely coming with her, it was locked on the face, but it kept falling behind, unfortunately. They both seem to keep with her quite well. Definitely focus acquisition is faster with the Nikkor though. Have to see in studio how the actual tracking is and how pin sharp they are. Okay, so thank you, fun and good to show people that even a beautiful model looks ridiculous when they're jumping and trying to dodge the camera.
Can't see me.
It could though, could. I can still see you. I will jump on the computer and give you guys some stats and show you some samples once I've had a chance to look at them. So image quality and actual hit rate I can't comment on now. The extra weight, I'll be honest, in a short-term shoot, it didn't bother me. I think if you were shooting all day or holding it without a tripod at all for a long shoot, then that extra 30% of weight would make a difference. It's heavier, so it's gonna start to weigh on you. But the build and finishing is nice. I have to say, maybe this is part of my bias towards Tamron lenses in general. Sigma, the zoom is reversed to what Nikon does, and it matches what Canon does. Whereas Tamron, I'm pretty sure, is the same as Nikon. So every time I'd go to zoom in, I'd zoom out and whatnot, which was a bit of a bummer. The reproduction ratio is good, a little bit better than the Nikon, but not as good as the 200 f2. From what I've seen, the image quality is nice, but let's jump in studio and check it out. So thank you and goodbye.
Bye. Grab